So let's move on. Let me make sure I'm going to the right page. So now they were forced to go to sea because Constantinople was taken over by the Ottoman Turks, and they kind of cut off the Silk route, a sea route to the Indies. By the late 1400s, Europeans knew that China and the islands off Southeast Asia held great riches. Explorers from Portugal, such as Bartholomew Dias and Vasquez da Gama, were trying to reach these lands. They wanted to sail around the southern tips of Africa and then across the Indian Ocean. We don't see it on this map. Christopher Columbus, a sailor from Genoa, Italy, had a different idea. He believed that he could reach the East Indies more quickly by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean, known then as the Ocean Sea. He did not know that North and South America continents would get in the way. He persuaded King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, Portugal's neighbor and rival, to pay for his voyage. In return, he would claim lands and open valuable trade for Spain. So his job was to find a route going west to get to Asia or the West Indies. Get it? Indies? India? He was trying to get to India. On August 3rd, 1492, Columbus sailed from Spain with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. For weeks, the ships traveled across unknown water. Finally, on October 12th, a member of the crew called the lookout, spotted land. Columbus would call the island he had reached San Salvador. Today, we know it as part of the Bahama Islands. A native people called the Taino warmly greeted his crew. The groups exchanged gifts. So the Taino were like, "Oh, welcome!" All nice and ready to welcome Columbus and his crew. So let's look at this. There's San Salvador in purple, the purple line. I don't know why they don't show you what this represents. Oh, there it is. First voyage was in purple. Okay. So you see right there, San Salvador. And the different voyages. Here, I'll let you watch it for a second. You can pause if you need to. These are words from Christopher Columbus. So this is a primary source. His journal. To some of them I gave red caps and glass beads, which they put on their chests, and many other things of small value, in which they took much pleasure in, and became so much our friends that it was a marvel. Later they came swimming to the ships. Launches were where we were, and brought us parrots and cotton thread in balls and javelins and many other things, and they traded them to us for other things which we gave them, such as small glass beads and bells. In sum, they took everything and gave of what they had very willingly. So they were exchanging things, they were trading. Okay, they were very friendly. Did you know, because he thought he had reached the East Indies, Columbus called the people he encountered Indios, Spanish for Indians. The name stuck even though it was an error. So he wasn't supposed to call them, he thought they were Indians, but they were not Indians. They weren't from India. The people Columbus actually met, the Taino, did not survive long after the coming of the Spanish, mainly because of the disease the Spanish brought. However, some of their culture is still evident in certain English and Spanish words such as barbecue and hurricane. Wow, I didn't know barbecue and hurricane came from the Tainos. Not Thanos, Tainos. Okay, so by what route did Portugal explorer explorers tried to reach China and the East Indies. So the Portugal's explorers, they trying to reach their lands. They wanted to sail around the southern tip of Asia. Okay? What route to China and the East Indies did Columbus propose? Columbus, on the other hand, he decided he wanted to go into the ocean. He believed that he could reach the East Indies quickly by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. So he wanted to go west, and they wanted to go south around Africa. Both of them got there. Well, not Columbus. We'll find out. But because Columbus did not get there because we were in their way. What do the details in the text suggest was one reason that Ferdinand and Isabella agreed to sponsor Columbus? Well, why did the Spanish want to help Columbus? It's because they had a rival. Okay? They wanted to claim lands and open valuable trade for Spain. Portugal was in the lead, and they wanted to catch up. So the Spanish decided to give money to Columbus. Even though Columbus wasn't from Spain, he was from Italy, remember. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Let's look at the map again. Here we have San Salvador, which is part of the Bahama Islands. There's Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica. All those islands are right there. There's Portugal also, which is part of the United States, even though it's not a state in itself. All right, let's move on to our last pages. There will be a test on this, so please pay attention, and you can come back and read it on your own. Or listen to it again. Or you can read it on your own, right? Because, oops, I'm missing a page. Hold on a second. Nope, I got it. It just looks different on mine. It had a picture of Columbus. Okay. On your pictures. All right. And this is our last page. On his first voyage, Columbus sailed to the several neighboring islands. In addition to the Bahamas, he still believed he had landed in the East Indies, but nowhere did he find the riches of the Indies. Claiming the islands for Spain, he reported his discovery to Ferdinand and Isabella when he returned home. The king and queen soon sent him back on a second voyage to extend Spanish claims. This time, he brought enough settlers and supplies to establish a Spanish colony on the island he named Hispaniola. In all, Columbus made 4 voyages to the area. So this colony, a group of people to settle in a place, was very important. If they did not settle, someone else could come around and say, hey, get out of here. But there was enough people that they said, oh, that's already settled, that's already claimed by Spain. Other explorers soon followed. By now, they knew that the islands were not the East Indies, but part of a massive land between Europe and Asia, a new world, as they called it. The name Americas began to be used for the new islands in honor of Amerigo Vespucci, who sailed one of Columbus's route in 1499. In 1513, Vasco Núñez de Balboa Park, became the first Spanish explorer to record seeing the great waters of the west to the west of these islands. Another explorer, Ferdinand Magellan, named those waters the Pacific Ocean. Magellan died as he attempted to sail around the world. His voyage was completed in 1522 by his crew under the command of John Sebastian Elcano. The voyage took 3 years. So Magellan's explorers went around the world They were the first. So here's a Taino artifact. Okay? And let's talk about this a little bit. What most disappointed Columbus about the land he had reached? Well, nowhere did he find the riches of the islands. On his second voyage, what did Columbus do to establish Spanish claims in the New World? Well, it says it right there. He established Spanish colonies. How did the land Columbus reached come to be called America? That's easy. Amerigo Vespucci, who sailed, okay, he was the one who changed the name. He realized that it was named, or that was a different land. Who was the first Spanish explorer to record seeing what is called the Pacific Ocean? That's easy. That was Ferdinand Magellan was the first. Oops, sorry, not Magellan. It was Vasquez Núñez de Balboa. This was all a new world because of they had never seen this world. All right, boys and girls, reread this and look it over again so that you can get some help for the test that's going to be coming.